Well, it's been another pretty crazy month in the RuneScape market. Not only has jagex been machine gunning out poll blogs and updates, which have all had significant effects on the economy in their own right, we also have one part of the market that is absolutely tanking and crashing incredibly quickly. As always, there's just a lot to talk about in this month of the RuneScape market. Now, one sector of the market that has been having a very rough time this month is the Tombs of a Masket drop table. The price of all of the Tombs of a Masket rewards have been tanking immensely, including the Shadow. The Twisted Bow and the Shadow have been in kind of a deadlock for a while, with both of them being at 1.5 bill. But it looks like the Twisted Bow, for the meantime at least, has taken the lead. Very consistent item, still 1.5 bill for that bad boy, but the Tunic Shadow has started to go down this month, going from 1.5 bill down to 1.3 bill, so losing 200 mil already. But this is more of just a symptom of a greater disease that has been plaguing the Tombs of a Masket, that being bots. TOA bots have become much more popular lately, and you can see it in the prices of the items. The Shadow going down 200 mil is a lot, but look at the Osmunten's Fang, it has been tanking. This month has just continued to plummet. It's nearly down to 20 mil and just continues to rocket downwards. For how powerful of an item it is, it's getting very, very cheap. But really, any item from Tombs of Masket is crashing significantly right now. The Missouri Body, the unfortified version, is dropped down from 80 mil down to 50 mil. Big decrease there. The Missouri Chaps, same thing, going from 50 mil down to 34 mil. They're getting really, really cheap. The Missouri Mask down to 7 mil. Dirt cheap item now for that as well. And these are all strong items. It's really just because of how common they are, due to the quantity of raids being done, as well as the increased drop rate at higher invocation levels, that's really causing these price crashes. The Light Bearer is really cheap, but you know, that was always destined to be so. Light Bearer is only 2.2 mil. And finally, the Elidnus Ward at 4 mil. One thing that's kind of interesting is the fortified versions haven't been crashing as much. They are still down, but less. Both the Missouri Body and Missouri Chaps fortified aren't down nearly as much, but that's actually been pushing up the price of Armadyl now. The Armadyl chestplate is very expensive, going up to 44 mil right now. Same thing with the Armadyl chain skirt, that's up a lot as well. But there's no doubt the price of Tombs of a Masket items are in pretty dire straits. Considering this raid has been out the least amount of time, the fact that all of the unique items are worth less than any of the other raids goes to show how popular it is, but also just how many purples are coming into the game. Now, this month we've had 2 more items shoot past the maximum cash amount of 2.1 bill, the Third Age Druidic top and bottom, bringing the total amount of items up to 4 that are completely unreachable for the average RuneScape player. In some ways, this actually kind of reminds me of the fine art market. Until recently, fine art was pretty inaccessible for the average investor as well, with some paintings costing millions of dollars. But thanks to today's video sponsor Masterworks, you can now easily invest in shares of blue chip art from legendary names like Picasso, Banksy, and Kaz right from your smartphone. Historically, you would need millions of dollars and art scene connections to really get into the fine art market, but Masterworks has made it much more accessible to add art to your investment portfolio. They've acquired over 300 paintings and have a team of data scientists and art nerds crunching decades worth of data so you don't have to. As of today, 16 paintings have been sold, with all 16 delivering positive returns for their investors. This adds up to a total of $45 million, which has already been paid out to just your average everyday investor. New offerings will often sell out quickly, sometimes within hours. So I would definitely recommend checking out Masterworks. They're even offering viewers of my channel an opportunity to skip the waitlist. All you have to do is click on the link in my description to get started today. I've not personally purchased any shares at Masterworks yet, and also don't forget to check out all the important disclosures at masterworks.com/CD. And thank you so much to Masterworks for sponsoring. Now, there are a number of items that were affected just by potential future changes, and let's start off with the Elder Maul. This month, the Elder Maul shot up 3 times in value, going from about 8 mil up to a peak of 23 mil in a very short amount of time. And even a month later is still at around double where it was before. Well, this month, jagex proposed a potential change to the Chambers of Xeric. Well, they proposed a bunch, but the one that's relevant here is they want to have the Elder Maul have a special interaction with Tecton that would slowly drain its defense levels. Sure, it's a pretty niche use, but the Elder Maul, incredibly rare, and things get exacerbated a lot more on mega rare raid items versus a more common item. Now, another example of something kind of similar happening this month is to the Guardian boots. Until October, they were hovering around 2 mil, but all of a sudden, they shot up to 5 mil and peaked at like 5.5 mils. So again, doubled or tripled in value in a very short period of time. Now, for a kind of similar reason, the Guardian boot shot up because of the new Fortis Coliseum update. The Fortis Coliseum has a ton of new items they're adding, but one thing they mentioned in the blog is they want to add an item called Echo Crystals, which they say would slot into the Guardian boot. That's still up for debate and is no way locked in, but even just the mention of the boot in the blog was able to triple the price of the Guardian boot. Another kind of rare item, honestly, with very niche uses currently. And there's one final example of this happening again this month, this time on the Justiciar armor. This week, they dropped a new poll blog for the Perilous Moons update, which is going to be something similar to Barrows in a way, but is going to heavily incentivize tank gear. A really interesting update, and one I'm actually kind of excited to try out, but because Justiciar is the premier tank armor, it shot up by about 20 mil immediately and is still hovering about 15 or 20 mil higher. Other tank items like the Bulwark also shot up a bit as well, and more mid-game armor like Torags is also doubled this week. The interesting thing is the Perilous Moons is a mid-game update, so I'm not really sure how much Justiciar is actually going to be used there, but people think it might be, and it's had a significant effect on the price. Now, one item that's kind of silently been having a absolutely insane month, something we definitely want to talk about, the Chaos Rune. If you look at the Chaos Rune, it has doubled in the last month. Crazy, actually. It's gone from 44 GP, which is an all-time low, up to 111, which is pretty much an all-time high. That in the span of 30 days is kind of unheard of. I think you really have to zoom back to see how insane this actually is. Looking at the all-time view, look at that, like what happened there? Such an insane increase that happened pretty much out of nowhere. Now, whenever we're talking about Chaos Runes, we have to look at also Onyxes or Furies. The Fury has also gone up a lot in the last month as well, going from 1.6 mil up to 2.5, so a huge bounce back for the item as well. These items are related because a bulk of Onyxes that come into the game are from the Tazar shop. Selling Chaos Runes to the shops are one of the most effective ways to get Tokkul, which are required to buy the Onyx. This is particularly interesting because the quantity of Chaos Runes has not gone down. If anything, it's higher than it was a year ago. Like, look at this. For example, a year ago, 110 million sold. Today, 205, like getting up to double the amount of Chaos Runes that are coming to the game, yet the price is this high. Kind of insane. I'm honestly not quite sure what has caused this historic increase in an item that I thought was going to be trending downwards forever. Like, interestingly, the Scar Essence mine came out right before this price increase, but even though it's a runecrafting related update, I just don't see how in any way that would increase the price of runes. So yeah, a little stumped on this one, but thought it was worth mentioning because you don't see price increases like this that often on high volume items like Chaos Runes. Now, although we've had a lot of blogs and plans for future updates, we did get one major addition in October, Forestry Part 2. With Forestry Part 2, we received a bunch of new events, the felling axes, and a whole host of new items added to the forestry economy. Let's start off with the felling axe handle. This can be added to any axe to make it chop trees faster, with the caveat of getting less logs and requiring forester's rations. Well, the axe handle is settled at around 2 mil each currently, and has held a pretty steady price since the release. Now, forester's rations is something I was definitely quite interested in. Now, these have been in the game for a while now. They were hovering around 200 to 300 GP for the majority of the lifespan of Forestry Part 1. But what happened when Part 2 came out? Well, they plummeted from 250 down to 20 or 30. So why exactly did they plummet when their main use actually got added to the game? Well, that's because with this update, they made Forester's rations a lot easier to obtain. Previously, you could only get 3 rations by combining a cooked meat with one of the new leaf items. But in an effort to make them more accessible and easier to obtain, they made it so the amount you get multiplies significantly with the tier of fish, meat, or other additives you put into the mix, so much so that you can get up to 36 rations per combination, or nearly 1,000 per inventory. And you can see the quantity spikes up significantly from a couple hundred traded per hour up to millions, and that's why the price crashed so significantly. Now with it, we got a ton of new items as well. We're not going to cover all of them because there's just a lot. Now one interesting one and the most widely traded one is the egg cushion. Now the egg cushion is very interesting. You combine it with a limestone to turn it into a padded spoon. Now you notice the padded spoon is significantly cheaper than any of the other items, and that's because you can use this as a pseudo mining training method. Theoretically, if you could acquire 2,000 egg cushions, which would be very hard because the bind limit is 100, you could do this for a full hour and you'd be getting nearly 70,000 mining experience per hour, similar to a buyable skill. You just use the two items together, gain passive mining experience. So it's a pretty lucrative method theoretically, but the limitation is low buy-in limit. It would take you a week to buy enough to do this for an hour. The cost is astronomically high now, as you're losing like 10,000 GP or more just to get 35 mining experience, so maybe not worth it. But it is interesting how much it has tanked the value of one of the items, even though something like the petal circle, which is made using the exact same amount of anima bark, should be the same price as 8,000, like 4 times higher. Another interesting price change that happened with this update is actually to redwood logs. With the addition of bonfires or forestry fires, I'm just going to call them bonfires, they've added a new AFK way to train fire making, and redwoods offer the best experience in the game. And I think a lot of people are using this opportunity to train fire making in a much more relaxed way. Redwoods are in much higher demand than they were previously, but they're actually pretty slow to obtain and many people wouldn't bank them previously anyway. But they're already up to 700 GP, so they're significantly more than when the update dropped. And honestly, this has been kind of going up for a while now. So it actually might be worth banking your redwoods now, as they're kind of creeping up to the value of a magic log. Now another kind of funny interaction that happened with the forestry update is to limestone. Now previous to the actual update coming out, jagex published, I think, that limestone bricks were going to be used in the forestry update, but that turned out to be wrong. Once the update came out, people realized it was actually regular limestone that was used, and that shot up significantly from 200 up to 2,000 in just a day or two. Limestone is not a very heavily traded item and was easily able to shoot up 10 times in value, especially considering there's that kind of pseudo mining trading method. So it's dropped a little bit, but still over 5 times higher than it was before. Honestly, so many items got affected by forestry. Sure, these are more niche, less expensive items, but I still think it's pretty interesting. And yeah, shout out to this person who made a mithril felling axe and probably regrets their life choices. Anyway guys, that's it for the market analysis. I hope you enjoyed it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.